start. Dun dun dun. So that sucked. So I had to jump start the car today. Thankfully, I've got some retired neighbors. So there were actually people in the office, or at the nearby, who could bring their vehicle over and I could jump start it. I work for a video game company. We don't get into the office at 8 a.m. So by the time I leave for work, most other people are already at work. Yeah. Yeah, I do have jumper cables in my car because it might not surprise you to know that I tend to be a little absent-minded and tend to kill the battery in my car about once every 4 or 5 months. Oh well. I am on my way to Wayfinder, and I am going to be doing night revels on a high-end character, level 26. Is there going to be a Hall of Heroes in Ravenloft? No. No. At least I haven't heard of any plan to do that. Ravenloft kind of has its own... what's the right word? Cosmology? That we have to deal with. Ooh, hey, I could actually level up. I'm also running low on space. Indeed. How about airship access? Probably not. We have thought about how we're going to do that. Overall, it should be relatively easy to get to and from Ravenloft, unlike the module, which technically, you know, is extremely difficult by design to get to and from. Well, not to get to, but to get from. So we're kind of playing a little fast and loose with the rules. But I don't think we'd be able to get away with having a airship in Ravenloft. Nice. Oh, it's nice when you get a reward there all of a sudden. I'll take that for... Actually, wait a second. Is that character or account? Yeah, account. Alright. I used to drive a stick shift pretty much always on my car until just recently I moved over to an automatic on. Well, I guess not that recently because I've had the car since like 2013 or so. But this is my first car that's been automatic. I ran couple hours of night revels last night on Thelanis and had zero problem getting keys. I had 4 keys within about 20 minutes of killing stuff in Dalera's graveyard, so hopefully your experience won't be too far off of that. I didn't find it difficult anyway. I will point out that, you know, we have been seeing your reports about, you know, lag, as it were, in night revels. It's not technically lag, but we know exactly what you're talking about, and as a matter of fact, just about an hour ago, Steelstar thinks he found a culprit. may not be the culprit, but is a contributor at the very least, and that is Colors of the Queen. Colors of the Queen, the electric loop thing, seems to not be decaying correctly in the instance. So it's kind of, you know, building up over time and causing some instance issues. So hopefully that's something we'll take care of here. We are actually working on a bit of a... we are actually working on a bit of a... dang, those guys. Shatterkai can cause you some headaches. Oof. Dang. It's pretty rough. If you guys all have keys, then I'm prepared to just, you know, pick up a key and go into a quest. But if you guys don't have keys yet, then we can kind of, you know, putz around a little bit if you want.
Okay, looks good.
Yeah, do the cold chamber one. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do the new one. Let's do the cold chamber one. I ran that last night. It was pretty cool. I had actually seen a question on the forums about how you get the optional in there, and we'll show you. It really wasn't that difficult. You just kill things in the first area until a named procs, and then you kill the named and get the optional. I went in, granted I was only at level 8, so maybe it's a little different on higher levels. I guess we'll find out here in just a second. But, it's pretty easy on level 8 to get. Do we have anyone above level 26? We got 30? Alright, we'll go in at 30. Let me see. Yep, 11 keys in your first hour, Puff Granny. Yeah, I found the key drop rate to be quite good. Perhaps significantly higher than I was expecting. So this one is the new quest, the new challenge, rather, in Night Revels. It is the Resurrection Chamber, based on the Coalescence Chamber. Does clicking on the door... No, it'll take you... Well, I haven't tried to click out here, but should just go to Night Revels. I will answer that question once I confirm in my own head, but I have a feeling I know who the DM is.
Adventurers have been resurrected and threaten to overtake Zendrick. Find the source of this dark magic and sever it. The pungent scent of death fills your nostrils. Your eye is drawn to the mist gathering on the center of the dais.
I will have to ask to confirm if I'm right or not on the DM line. I think it might have been the person who made the dungeon, but then I'm not 100% sure. So I guess I better not discredit / credit someone who doesn't, shouldn't get it.
A curious looking package. It must be harmless, surely.
I was in last night here with my cleric, like I said, level 8. And it was kind of nice because I would just boom. Whenever it was undead stuff, I was just turning them. and just kind of insta-killing the whole batch. Made for a very quick run. It's kind of nice. I need Ghost Touch. Sorry, I really can't talk about Steam. If they're ever available on Steam, they'll be available. It's not something I have any control over. What kind of vampire hunter doesn't have Ghost Touch? I know, right? Let me actually double check. I might. Nope, not on that Vorpal. Cleaver. No. 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 Alright. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, as soon as you killed Cheney, which is... talk about a great name, huh? For the werewolf. Nice little nod to classic cinema there. That is not orange, that is red, and is sort of water with blood. Alright. So we are all good then on the chamber here, or it should be ready to drop down.
There's a crack in the temple floor large enough to fit through. The echoes of falling petals signal.
Alright, let me see.
Drop down to the cavern floor below.
This gives out the black apples. I don't know why that was selected. I guess it just, had to pick something and pick that. The level 28 pick and hand wraps are not upgraded well enough for today's game. Okay. Are the Shadar-kai the punks who like to hang out in the graveyard because it's cool? For sure. Does the Mist Aura work on heavy repeating crossbows? I don't believe... I have heard mixed results regarding ranged weapons and the Mist Aura. I think in general a lot of it has to do with what kind of particle effect is on the item itself. So say for example like you have the Hellfire crossbow or something like that. It generally will display a particle effect, so it'll, display a particle effect. But if the item itself doesn't really display any particle effects, then it probably would not really display very well. I mean, I can even, if it's really something you want me to test out, maybe at the end of the stream here I'll quick create an admin and give it a shot. Do great crossbows show up as glamours if you're using a repeater? I have never actually tried to do that, but I think the answer should be yes. Oh, if you want me to explain my alt build, this character is really a pretty straightforward build. This is a barbarian. The only reason I have a level of fighter is because I was an iconic to start with. I'm a purple dragon knight and I haven't swapped it out yet. But really it's just a pure barbarian, and I prefer going all the way up to the top on Ravager, because I like the critical threat range while raging, and then also the blood strength. I know a lot of people tend to go more for Frenzied Berserker, but I have always preferred Ravager for this. But I do go up quite a ways on Frenzied Berserker as well. Two-handed fighter, because again, I like that thing. But it's a really pretty straightforward build. There's not too much to it. Why is this dungeon the only one with the power-up orbs? No particular reason. It was just the way it was, you know, this is our newest dungeon, and the person who was designing it just thought it was a cool idea.
All of the mysterious packages have been opened.
So it wasn't really a system thing, it would just seem like, yeah, let's do that, let's see if that's fun, and it was. It also helps, you know, people try to deal with the challenge a little bit of this particular challenge as opposed to some of the others, which perhaps are maybe a little easier. Why is this one run forward as opposed to starting at the end? Again, no particular reason. It just for fun. What the heck? Why am I not able to... There we go. Lord Harryhausen, by the way. The other really fun thing, I don't know if you've seen it, I'll show you this in just a second here. I get you jump off, stand in the air jet, that's cool. Look at this. Oh no! I wanted to show you this guy. That's fine, I'll do it in just a sec. If you've not seen the Broken Adventurer, he's a broken adventurer. He says, I doubt you'll have better luck than me, but if somehow you make it, come back and let me know. Who built this thing? Who in their right mind would think this was a good idea? It was sort of a self-referential piece of fun. But yes, you can take jump buffs here pretty well, and you can also kind of just jet your way to the top pretty easily, should you wish to. Now, you still might want to kind of kill a few things just for dungeon alert purposes, but you don't really have to. So you can just kind of do this. Uh-oh. Well, let me move aside so I can get Trapuntus. Sedone. Oops. Let me actually switch items here. There we go. Oh, great. Do I actually have any more potions of healing? Yeah, I got not much. Uh-oh. This could be a problem. Oh no! Ah! Dun dun dun.
As you realize that the source of the undead army
You fell all to the
just
bottom?
beyond this door.
Looks like it, yep. Not quite all the way to the bottom, but down quite a ways. That's fine, I'll revive myself, do it that way. But I need some potions, some healing potions. If I'm gonna get through this. Ah, there we go. A spoopy version of Cold Chamber? Yeah. Nice. Oh, is that true? You can just straight back up? Teleport back up if you drop to the bottom? That's interesting, I did not know that. Alright, I am ready for the end fight if you guys are up towards the top. If not, let me know. Yeah, I like the new mist effect as well. I've got it on this item. I showed it off on Wednesday. I haven't yet figured out what item I'm going to put it on some of my other characters yet. I kind of want to get the right cosmetic. So the mist did not work on Fatal Flaw. See, that's what I'm thinking, is that if the... And this is actually pretty similar to all Glamored Weaponars. If the item doesn't have a particle effect, then it has nothing to really change to. Happy Friday to you as well. Hope you've got if you've got any spooky plans this weekend or anything going on. I know I myself am going to be doing a lot of night revels. A good build for doing racial past lives. I mean, you figure if you're doing racial past lives, you're really just looking at level 1 to 20. So you don't really have to worry about any epic stuff. You probably just want to go with the OP heroic classes, so... Warlock, Artificer. I don't know, Titan, if I'm going to see the new Thor movie. I have to admit, I've not really been keeping up with the Marvel Avengers movies. They're just not really for me. I guess, you know, the way I don't tend to play necessarily for min-maxing that much, so if I were doing racial past lives, I would break up the classes some just for fun. But if you're truly, truly just goal-oriented, then yeah, probably Warlock or Artificer. But if it were me, like I say, I'd do a couple on Warlock, couple on Artificer, couple on, you know, Cleric, Fighter, whatever. Just to kind of break things up and have some fun with it. You guys know about the second chest here, right? Okay, yeah. So all ingredients and keys will disappear at the end of the year, correct? Yes, they will not disappear, but they will become unusable. Similar to past Night Revels, with the exception of lasting Night Revels keys that you purchase from the DDO store. Those retain throughout year to year, because you spent DDO points on them. I actually don't know. Like on Wayfinder here, I'm just kind of bumming around in terms of items and that. I think for, at the very least, I know. Okay, so like I've read on the forums that say the consumables, you know, the ones that last only for a year or whatever, aren't that great. But for me, I think they're very good. I get a lot of use. I've gotten so much use out of like the candy apples and all that sort of thing that it's just crazy to me that people don't like them. If it's up to me, so probably first thing I'm gonna get is I'm gonna get. Did I not get one?
Decent bonus.
Yeah, nice. If I'm gonna get something first, I'm probably going to get on the character like the caramel apples and all that sort of thing. Because you're talking about PRR, dodge bonus, MRR, melee ranged power, and it's a freebie. And it lasts for an hour. It lasts half the time you quest. So, for sure, the clickies are the way I'm going to go. I mean, play how you want. But personally, I strongly disagree with the people who are like, they're useless because they're only good for an hour. It's like, well, they're good for half the time. But that's a lot of time. Yeah, the Crystallized Eternity Great Club is a pretty hot item too, I've heard this year as well. It's probably a good call. I should probably go for that. I thought we had the original Chaos as a weapon, or is that some kind of new version of Chaos. It's the one I tend to go for, because I kind of like the purple groovy effect on it. Yeah, stacks with everything. Well, stacks with, I think, everything. It's a festive bonus, so theoretically if we've come out with a new festival item that it provides it, then it would not, you know, it would not stack with that. But otherwise, I think it does. I can't think of anything else that provides those bonuses. Oh, just enhanced chaos? Huh. I guess I always go for the enhanced chaos then. I will have to look into the coffee. My understanding is that it's a festive bonus, so it would stack with the clicky.
Mummy collapses into a pile of scattered bandages and fetid dust.
No, forgettable NPC. We have no plans to not make those items stick around year after year. So here's the philosophy on that. I know that, you know, some people are going to disagree. When we have ingredients that stick around year after year, the behavior that we tend to see is people grind their faces off for every moment of the first year of the event. They collect enough of the ingredients that they never have to do a thing again. And then they complain every year that we don't offer anything new for them to do. So, the purpose of having it go every year like this is that regardless of whether you've got all the items and that, there's at least going to be something for you to do, because you can do the, let's face it, minimal amount of work it takes to get the consumables, the clickies and that, if you want to. But this makes you actually have to run the event rather than just say, yay, Night Revels is back, let me take a quick trip to the vendor and then not have to do the event anymore. It does theoretically have the reverse effect of, towards the end of the event, you may be like, well, I don't want to stock up on things because, you know, it's not going to stick around. And that's true. But in this particular Night Revels event, we have a lot of consumables, including, say, monster summons and things like that, that have a very low cost. So even if you're in the last 20 minutes of the event, if you want to run something, you can still get an item for it at a very low cost here. So there really is no reason why... Well, I mean, unless you don't want to, which is a perfectly valid reason, but there's no reason why you couldn't just sort of choose to keep running the event till the end of the event. Whereas, if we did what we've done on other festivals and just have all the stuff stick around, like I said, you have, you know, half the player base not take part in the event every year, other than a quick trip to the vendor to get whatever new stuff that we have available, but that also demotivates us to offer any new stuff because we tend not to want to spend a lot of work on things that people don't actually run. If you don't have time to run the event, then don't run the event. However, like I said, you can get an item after really about 20 minutes of running something here. So if you don't have 20 minutes to run Night Revels, then don't run Night Revels. It's available for something like 21 days.
The tattered form falls in defeat, and the feeling of dread that surrounded the Lich fades.
It's true that not every year we upgrade the items. Thankfully, this year on Night Revels in particular, we've done quite well, I think. We have a whole bunch of new items. In addition, we've updated all the existing items to level 28. So there should be a lot of good motivation to run stuff this year. Okay, so I don't know if I was really clear at the start of the show here, but I just want to make sure you guys are aware. We are intending to release a patch next week. Time ETA. Or TBA. It's going to have a quote lag fix for the Night Revels. And what that's going to be is a fix to Colors of the Queen, where one of the things does not get destroyed after being cast on an area, so it's stacking up over time in the instance, because these are particularly long-term instances and causing some issues. So that should be ready for next week, and we're also working on 2 animation issues with the ASMR. One is the 2-weapon fighting animation, also a quick run animation. I'm gonna pause this, sorry, I've got a bit of a cold. Yeah. Sorry about that. Someone's saying, we were not able to play enough to get what we wanted from the recent Mimic Hunt. Hopefully those coins do not expire. No, they do not. And the philosophical reason for that is... let me see. Oh, Trapunto, you need another key. Why don't we... the store ones I don't think are tradable, right? Yeah, they're bound to account. So we'll just have to kill some things till we get a key for you. We should make the store ones tradable. So the thing with the Mimic Hunt is it's going to be returning, at least the intention is to have the Mimic Hunt returning every couple months. So that would be why, even if you don't necessarily have a lot of time or get enough to get a thing this time around, you can hang on to that stuff because it's going to be more of a recurring event. Whereas Night Revels is clearly meant to be a once-a-year event. Ah, cool. Alright, so if we're good to go on another key then... I have to admit, I tend to run the lower level instances of Night Revels for 2 reasons. One, I find the Shatterak to be among the more difficult mobs in Night Revels, whereas if you run the lower instance, you're really just looking at undead. Worst case scenario, you maybe have a Lich. Also, the first time you run these Night Revels dungeons per year, you get really good XP. And at low levels, that really good XP lets you just jump right up to the mid-teens without really much work at all on your part. So that is, I tend to not bring my higher level epic characters into Night Revels and instead just do my farming on
Is it per year or
the
per life?
lower level
I
guys.
think it's more per life.
Oh yeah?
So when I logged in, I saw I have done, except the new one, all challenges on 5 stars. And got only, I guess, 22k XP.
And you said you did that on a different character, is that correct?
No, on the same. On the same.
Oh yeah, it's a first-time XP bonus only. It works the same way as the challenges in Evening Star and House Caneth.
Yeah, right. So if you are a new character or you're on the TR train, then you probably get a new bonus.
Yeah, or, you know, but it's first time per year that it comes back. So, like, for example, I had a level 8 cleric I was running on Thelanis yesterday, and you run all 8 of these things first time bonus, and you can tear through them pretty quick, and you'll get a lot more XP, in my experience, than you would running quests at that same amount of time.
Definitely.
Oh, first time per life, not per year? If you have not TR'd since your last life, you do not get the first time bonus. Okay. I actually wasn't aware of that. That makes sense, though. I would have thought that they were new because of the way we implement it. Maybe they would be reset, but I guess not. Has anyone mentioned if the new raid will be level 10 and cap or just cap? I think it's going to be cap. And I know that there's some interest in having a new level 10 raid. I'm going to double check on that, but I think due to the nature of the raid and kind of license things and things like that, that I think we may not be able to offer a level 10 version of it. But I'm not sure. I'm going to have to check on that. We do have 2 raids coming as well, so I'm not sure if that means we can have one be heroic and one legendary, or if they can both be legendary, or how that is all going to work.
The door is locked tight and can only be opened when the runes are lit. Look for 2 mechanisms that will unlock the door.
Is December 5th solid for Ravenloft? Well, yeah. I mean, the lawyers made us put down a date, and we've committed to December 5th, so I guess. Theoretically, something could come up. But that's, I mean, that's our intention, is to release it on December 5th. You know, who knows, got another month or so till that date, so something could happen. But that's the plan. That's the plan, is to release it on December 5th. Are sentient weapons going to be level scaling or set at a specific minimum level? They will be set at a specific minimum level. They are an endgame item system. And we'll have a lot more about sentience as they get to Lamania and things like that. But they're not going to be, you know, one and done, like items that you just keep forever. There actually had been at one point a design that did have really kind of an item that you just kept with you, you know, from level 1 all the way up to 30, but the reality is that really invalidated pretty much so much of the gameplay of the game, which is, you know, collecting and building and stuff loot, that it just, from a design perspective, it just proved to be a really bad idea. How long till that preview? I don't know. When we're ready for it. We have a tentative plan, I think, sometime in kind of between early and mid-November. So I'd say that's a fairly reliable target. But in terms of what exact day that means or anything like that, no clue. Depends on our status of our builds and approvals of various things, what have you. So within a couple weeks. Yeah, because I mean the issue with a kind of a one weapon to rule them all is that either you get into a scenario where you might as well never loot another weapon in the game again, or it's not good enough and you do need to level other things, but then why would you wear that to level up if it's not as optimal as the thing that you could otherwise... It was kind of a design nightmare, so... How to go between full screen view and not in game, I believe that is Control Enter or Alt Enter, one of those two. Alt Enter will move between full screen and windowed mode. As I do it here. Will sentient weapons be in the next Lamania preview? I don't know. The first Lamania preview is going to be clearly not everything. I don't know what exactly that's all going to be, though. We'll see. Hephaestus licenses can affect sort of the scale of the raid. For example, say Lulth. Could we have theoretically a level 4 version of the Lulth raid? Probably not, because there might be an argument to be made that level 4 characters should not be able to face Lulth and survive. Much less even face Lulth to begin with. And so, to some extent, when we look at things like Strahd and things like that, there may be some considerations to be made there. Man, I've got a cold today. Sorry. Next Mimic Hunt soon? No. It's going to be probably next year sometime. We have a couple of exploits that we got to take care of here before we can bring the Mimic Hunt back. Macubre, Ravenloft sales page mentions 6 unique personalities for sentient weapons. Will we ever add more? Probably. There's a fairly good chance of that. Ultimately, as with a lot of things, it depends on how well they do, how popular they are, you know, both commercially and in the player base, you know. If you guys like them, support the system, you know, use the system and demand more, probably make you more. But for Ravenloft, we're, I think, starting with 6 personalities. We don't have another key, right? How about Hey Weird?
Good to me.
Are they voiced personalities or just text? They will be both voice and text. That's actually part of what we're kind of trying to figure out the right balance for right now. I had actually done, it won't be one of these, 6, but I had done a sentient weapon internally for the dev team to kind of test like the annoyance factor and things like that. So I'm a good candidate to test annoyance factor. No, but we wanted to make sure that, you know, when do they talk? How often do they talk? You know, do they talk too much? Do they not talk enough? Can they add flavor? You know, what do they proc off of? You know, how often should they proc, etc. Things like that. And so we're kind of working on that stuff now. But the intention is they will be both voice and text. Presumably text more than voice, but they will have voice work as well. And as we've already stated as well, in case you didn't catch that, the personalities are going to be independent from the weapons. It's going to be an augment-like system where you slot in a personality and then slot in effects for that weapon. So that'll allow you to have control over what personality type you have, and then like mechanically what kind of weapon you're using and benefits you have on there. Hey, Doodle. Yeah, kind of like Legendary Green Steel. I don't know who all the voice people are for the weapons. I haven't, I've been too busy and I haven't really been a part of that process. I don't actually know who all is doing voice work for them. Oh, speaking of genies, I was on Caneth the other day, and I happened to notice, I'd logged into a character that I hadn't logged into for years to help someone who was only level 2 and just wanted, you know, needed some help getting started in the game. So I logged into a level 4 character I had. I still had a 6th anniversary genie. So I went and spawned it right in by Dirk's. By the warehouse there. And got to watch as players who weren't around for the 6th anniversary were like, what's this thing? What happens if I click on it? It was a good time. So I kind of didn't, I had a choice. I was like, well, on the one hand, I kind of want to keep that cake around because that means I can do this in the future. But on the other hand, I kind of wanted the pork barrels. So I ultimately, after a while, I did finally trade it in for pork barrels. Because those are also pretty hard to find nowadays. Orion, you're right. Orion, not Caneth. How do their personality affect in-game? Do they make short grunting noises every time you swing or something? They have a list. It's a fairly long list of literally dozens of different actions. What am I doing? Here we go. Some of them are like, you die. You're about to die. You complete a quest. You speak to an NPC. Things like that. And like I say, there's just lists of dozens of these different procs. And then it's just a matter of setting it on either... Well, I don't know yet, but I think the plan is that it sets either on... Like, some are meant to just kind of be a random proc every now and then, and some of them are action-specific. So, for example, you kill an orc, or you beat a raid boss, or something like that. So... Yes, actually forgettable. Something like, you actually disarmed that trap without blowing it up? Impressive. That kind of thing, for sure. Oh, do pork barrels drop from Zoriet orbs? That's news. I had not really realized that. That's pretty fun. It's cool. No love for the YouTube question. Sorry, I'm working on it. What are my characters' names on Kyber? My main character on Kyber is named Armagh. A-R-M-A-H-G-H. And that's the only public character I really have on Kyber. The rest are all kind of private characters. Maybe if next Mimic Hunt happens more often, people would not try to exploit it. Unfortunately, that's not typically how it works. If you offer something more regularly that can be exploited, then the general reality is people exploit it more regularly. They may publicly justify their exploit by saying, I'm only doing this because of the, quote, grind, rarity, whatever. But in reality, they're doing it, they'll do it anyway, if they're the kind who are willing to exploit. In general, I mean, this, you know, there are exceptions to every generalization. Why can't the Mimic vendor remain year-round? Because we don't want it to. You know, we do events for fun, but we do also have, say, you know, they are promotions for the game as well. And so if we have a vendor that's only around when the event is active, then there are people who would not otherwise log in and play, who will log in and play because they can talk to the vendor. I know you may not want to hear that answer, but that is the truth. Any chance of point discounts for those who purchase the expansion? Not in this particular sale. We're not doing that. Like for Shadowfell, we did have a pretty significant point discount, and we, for whatever reason, did not go for that this time around. I assume someone got the whatchadealy lever thing? Yep.
Yeah. It's done.
I would love to have a sword saying, well, there's another fine mess you've gotten us into. Yeah, Zenfi says the collectible boxes from the Mimic Hunt were a good way to dump excess ingredients, materials, things. Can we get more collectible boxes in other events like the Rezia Ice Games? I think that's a great idea, and we tend to agree that that was a seemed to be a pretty well-liked thing for that exact reason, because we made the cost low enough that, regardless of what, you could at least do that. Man, my incorporeality. I really need Ghost Touch. Do I really not have Ghost Touch? Ah, here we go. Good, I do. Ghost Band. Nice. Dennis is suggesting a much larger Maybar area so that people aren't tripping over each other. That is why we have separate level gating to help with some of that. But yeah, it's cool. Potentially. I mean, Night Revels is more about running the challenges than being in the graveyard. The graveyard area is just kind of a way to get to the challenges and get Darkest Chocolate. And keys for those who don't want to purchase them. But yeah, theoretically we could. Alright. Well, I guess that's probably going to do it. I think that's going to do it with the show here. Let's kind of see what I ended up with in terms of ingredients and what have you. I'm not sure which bag they're in. Yep, so we got 49 dark chocolate, 13 black apple, 10 sinister cinnamon. So, you know, not too bad. Oh, and another 10 shadowy caramel and 3 spooky almond. Okay. Alright, thank you very much for watching Friday afternoon here on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. If you follow us on Twitch, you'll be notified from when we go live with shows like this one. Subscribe on YouTube to get our videos in your subscription feed, and like us on Facebook if you want to get not only our videos live in your Facebook feed, but also our other kind of things as well. This is the weekend bonus. Night Revels runs through November 5th. Any further comments on ASMR Wings? Other than just we're looking into it. You know, we have read your feedback that you want it to be kind of a toggle. We need to look into seeing if that's something we might be able to offer. I know it was available in the first Lamania, but that was a bug. Alright, and that'll do it. I'll be back next Wednesday. It'll be right here on Wayfinder, and we'll probably end up doing more Night Revels, because why not? I want stuff. Hope you have a good weekend running Night Revels, or whatever you happen to be running. I'll talk to you again soon. Have fun. Oh, also DDO Ravenloft. Let me do that plug. DDO Ravenloft, if you want to find out more about the pre-purchase for our Ravenloft, Mists of Ravenloft expansion. And if you want to support us, we appreciate that. Thank you very much. Have fun. See ya.